we've got just the whole pantheon sitting in that room, just a stone's throw away from us, though we probably shouldn't. They would get mad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're very focused. This is a big deal to these guys. And speaking about these guys, I mean, some of them have come from a very long way. We've already discussed that. But we have Milton and Rickle playing in our next match. So if you aren't familiar, these are basically the favorites. And everybody expects them to win. It might not be an easy path. There are a couple teams that certainly could stop them along their way. But if you're new to QuakeWorld, you're going to start to see perfect movement. You're going to start to see guys who have a level of game sense that is just a bit mind-blowing.
So yeah, we're going to have MAGA, a couple Americans. We've got Serp and Thumpa. Thumpa, of course, I think is going to give us some interesting interviews later today. He's actually got quite a history himself. He's played a lot of Painkiller. He's played a lot of different Quakes. He's coming back for QuakeWorld. He's been getting a lot of practice lately. And sometimes he hits people who aren't his teammates, so you know, good luck, have fun. But yeah, he usually does have quite a bit of packet loss on online tournaments. So hopefully not here, but here we go. But you know, right now in round 2, of course, getting matched up against Ragnarok. It's yeah.
What do you say about that?
It's apocalyptic appropriately, so we'll see how we go. But it's gonna be blood run, and I think it's about to.
It's basically David versus an army of Goliaths. It's like the clone army of Goliaths.
All right, so as we get started here, we're going to let the auto tracker figure out where we want to be. Of course, it's going to be that first quad, and quad actually dies. It's going to be Serp taking that over with LG. A bit of rockets taking some damage on his yellow armor, but looking for that red. And his timing's a little bit off. He's going to be looking to hatch it and hoping to hold off long enough, but it's not going to happen. Rico's going to come in and take over, making this 2-on-1 Ragnarok's favor. And depending on the amount of respect in game here, you can actually see the scoreline stay fairly sane, at least for a little while, for a couple minutes maybe, until things really start running away in terms of control of the quad, of the red armor room, and especially the spawns in the middle of the map.
And it might, I mean, I'm curious as how this red control is going to go, because it's a really big deal when it comes to getting those quads. And speaking of which, the quad is going to spawn in about 10 seconds. So about to see Pat's Rickle. It could be a good shout for that, as he's going to be just jumping by the red armor back into the quad room. And there it is, just jumping straight on it, but going down immediately. Yeah,
we didn't even have time to see that blue glow on anybody, but it's going to be Milton getting away with a little bit of health, and red armor making his way back over to rocket launcher room. A really important room, just because armors are more important in QuakeWorld than they are in other Quakes, and of course weapon control. There's no weapon despawn, but just being able to keep people off of the weapon as long as possible ends up being incredibly important. He's going to be catching it from both ends as he goes through the teleporter, but he's going to be able to grab that next red armor just fine, and should be able to stack back up on health here as we get ready for this next quad.
Yeah, so Milton looking pretty hot at the moment, but a lot of damage coming his way. Health can disappear very quickly because the weapons, basically just 2 in this game, that are very dangerous. And that is the rockets, that is the lightning gun. And so if someone just strings a few lightning gun shots when you're not paying attention, you turn around and you've already lost most of your health and armor, even if you're fully stacked. So that's one of the reasons why it's so fast-paced. And again, that quad is about to spawn. Milton should be looking to go for that. Thumper's already there. Milton's getting into a battle, though, and there you go. That very highly damaging quad LG coming out to play.
All right, it's going to be Thumper here, hoping not to get a 2-stack, but we're finally seeing him with an opportunity to get some frags back for MAGA, but Milton's going to get that beautiful trap and take him down. Coming into the rocket launcher room with quad is always dangerous. You do need a teammate to kind of like call it out, call out positions, see if it's safe, but we just didn't have that there. So at least it's a denied quad run from Ragnarok. As Milton gets pulled on down, we got Recall with armor and weapons here looking to take down some spawn frags, especially as we look for this next red.
So Rickle is going to take a lot of damage there, and it's all going to be about whether or not you can actually hold some form of control in that center room. But it's so difficult. This is one of the reasons why I was saying on Aerowalk that every rocket and you know, every rocket really counts when in a situation like this, so that you can just win those edges, win the armor at a timing like this when that quad is about to spawn. And Thumper actually just ran past where the Mega Health spawns. Didn't spawn for him, but there is the quad. Nice little rocket jump. He's going to pick that one up.
This is the second quad that MAGA's been able to get away with, so they've got a little over 15 frags to make up for it, but he can find them both down there in the LG, getting some spawn frags as well. He's going to be really low on health, but denying the rocket launcher, red armor crab rather. He's going to get pulled down, but he got a decent amount of frags with that quad run, and especially keeping it out of the hands of Ragnarok gives him a lot of favors.
Yeah, there is, on this map, there can be a really awful situation that can happen to you whereby you allow for the opponent to take the quad, and then he cleans out everything, and he remains stacked, and he can sit in the middle of the map, basically just murdering everybody, just back to back off the spawns, until you just keep resetting the team that doesn't have the quad, and you can basically generate 20, 30 kills in a space of a couple of minutes by doing that. It can get really rough. So both teams looking to
seconds, yeah.
to get to that point.
Absolutely. So Rico's going to be looking for this next red. Here comes Serp and Thumpa trying to focus fight to take him down. Doesn't quite get it, and they're trying to keep the pressure on even after he stacks back up. But without any weapons, they're just going to be feeding themselves off to him. But as Quad comes back up here, Rico's going to be fighting for it. He's going to get the grab. He's got red armor, and now he's out of the gate, loose on the map, and hopefully avoiding enough grenades in order to get a lot of frags and give themselves a nice, tasty lead in front of MAGA.
And there you go, you can already start to see how painful it can be as Rico has free reign here, just looking for those spawn frags. And one thing that teams might or should really do in a lot of spots is try to hold their spawns if they possibly can. If you can ever hold your spawn, you should try to delay it, just to throw off the guy that's basically just hell-bent on just smashing you straight away off the spawn with spam rockets.
All right, but as that quad runs out, Rico's going to be taking away red armor, and I really appreciate the way that they both kind of collapse on players. Anytime that you can force a one-on-one situation into a two-on-one situation goes a long way here in TDM. Rico coming back in mid-map looking to throw down some spam. Milton's, don't fire at Milton, wrong guy. But looking for Serp and Thumpa coming over the top. He's going to be pushing through to the quad room a little bit early here, but of course here in QuakeWorld, that could be justified just because you can stack up so much on armor, making room. They both have red armor, actually. Milton getting out with the quad now, and this should be kind of nasty for MAGA, honestly.
Yeah, it's starting to get really rough because off the back of that last quad run, Rico cleaned up enough space that both players got a lot of armor. They set up for this quad perfectly, and now it's really problematic because the frags will not stop raiding in here. It's just one after another. A quick steal of the red, but who cares?
All right, so as that quad runs out, Milton's going to be enjoying a last few frags here. But what we saw a couple minutes ago was MAGA getting in and stealing away the quad, and that's a little bit more tricky here in QuakeWorld than it is in other games just because you risk dying so quickly as you come into the quad room. But if you keep that pressure up, you can just keep bodies on the pad and maybe end up stealing it away. If you die right on the pad, well, at least you've denied a run from them. If you get away with yourself, then you get an opportunity to close the gap a little bit. But that gap has just been widening over the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, this central room has so many spawns to abuse. It's just brutal. And once again, we see a similar panel. Though this time, Rico's not as stacked as Milton was previously. A nice rocket, but Rico might be able to stack up again. We'll have to see if he can pick up some extra armor. The only thing that would be available would be the yellow armor that would spawn here, but I don't know that Rico knows when that's going to be. The armors take 20 seconds to spawn.
Right.
So it looks like he may have just missed that one.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of value in pushing out to rocket launcher and just looking for anybody that Milton, in this case, can corral his way. But yeah, flooding the teleporter exit with rockets is definitely a good way to get a nice few cheap frags as well. But at this point, with 98 to 21, this might be victory lap time for Ragnarok. At least here on Blood Run.
Yeah, and you can see actually that for a while, we had the Americans able to slow them down. Thumper and Serp, they weren't winning. They were down, 10 or 15 frags or so, but they kind of kept an even pace to that. But it's just eventually they just couldn't. I mean, we just saw Milton and Rico pulling away after just showing superior fighting skills, superior control, and eventually just getting clean armors into quad. And that's all they needed. And once that happened once, this train just is not stopping.
Absolutely, and the fact that Milton and Rico very often have double red, not at this point, but they're going to be looking for this next spawn. This is a bit of an opportunity for Thumpa to maybe deny something, but the rockets aren't quite on point. So Rico's going to end up getting a few frags there. 32 health for him, though. He's going to be weak. Milton doesn't have much armor either. He just got away with yellow coming back through the teleporter there. So they've got these guys kind of up against the ropes physically as well here in the quad room.
Yeah, it's looking really, really good right now for the favorites. And this is, again, like, I would say one of the... I feel like there's a bit more depth than Aerowalk.
Right.
And... But I would say, I'm still looking forward to seeing the DM6s and DM2s, specifically because there's...
Fingers crossed for DM2, yeah.
Yeah, the pace is very... the dynamics at play are very different to the other maps, which are more about the individual skill, and those become a lot about your rocket engagements and various other things that we'll get into. I don't want to get ahead of myself as this one gets closed out, but it's definitely a lot of very nice variety that is something to be looking forward to.
But it must be said that MAGA's showing off a pretty decent fight here. It's just a matter of momentum, and unless you can stop the momentum, the frags are kind of secondary at that point. It's more about getting to that point where you can get some control, get some spawn frags, get some items, and if you don't get that, well, this is exactly what happens.
And spawn fragging is something that we had in Quake 3
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we had in a lot of games, but a lot of spawn systems ended up actually going away from allowing that possibility even in 1 versus 1s. And it's something that I really missed actually, because in a game like QuakeWorld you get rewarded with total domination if you play like a good control game, a good resource-based game, and then you can prioritize your teammates, spread them out to spots where there's like a high frequency of spawners, and it sucks to get spawn fragged. But when you're the guy spawn fragging the other guy,
it's pretty awesome.
It's awesome, and I miss that.
Yeah. And a lot of the maps actually give you ample opportunity to become that guy. You know, Aerowalk has a spawn right on the red armor that you have a decent chance of getting. You're probably going to die because they're probably coming after the red as well, but you deny a red at that point. So it definitely balances itself out quite a bit. But yeah, final 30 seconds, 124 to 42. The fact that MAGA has avoided that net 100 scoreline is actually a pretty big accomplishment, I think, earlier in round 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing we have to also remember is that it is early days for Ragnarok as well. I mean, it's the start of the day. There's a lot of warming up to be had, and this is a nice match for them at least to have as they set their sights on greater beasts that they must take down in the future stages of the tournament.
Yeah, they got to keep one eye on them for sure. But we're going to be going into map 2 here pretty soon. Well, of course, we're doing drop, pick. Drop, pick. I'm going to need more coffee, absolutely. Are we really going to DM2?
We're going to DM2.
Oh, I was about to describe exactly why we're not going to see a lot of DM2. But yeah, awesome. Cool. We didn't see a lot online, and it's a favorite of mine, especially here in 2v2.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. Again, there's no... all that matters really is the rocket launcher, and there's 2 rocket launchers for you to get on the map. Yeah. So it's not really too difficult to grab one, as there is as we have weapons stay. And there's a bunch of red armors. There's a bunch of armor, in total on this map. You got the secret red, you got the red in the red mega room, which maybe Rick will potentially go to. It's kind of behind where Serp is. Right. So on both sides of the map, it's you can get your access to the red armors. And they spawn every 20 seconds. You got a couple of mega healths as well, and so it's not necessarily hugely about the reds and the megas because they're so ample, but it's about how the quad dynamic works and how a team will try to break the quad control or break a room with the quad to a team that's turtling up. And you can turtle pretty effectively as a team. So there's a lot more team play, a lot more decision making, and you have to be very good with movement and rockets. Very, very good.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you mentioned, once somebody's out with the quad, it's going to be fairly known where he's headed, and so the ability to lay down traps and get some crossfire on the quad before he's even able to use it effectively ends up being a very, very big part of getting control back. But of course, because the quad comes up so often, having control of the quad room, which is really messy. It's a nasty room. You've got a lot of little cubby holes and alcoves and staircases and lots of things to get stuck on. A lot of choke points, a lot of good places to throw down rockets, and so a lot of people die in that room. Here we go.
It is time. All right, so one thing that's going to be interesting is who does get that first quad. That's the first thing, as again, it spawns straight away, which I think is fun. I like that. Again, it's a QuakeWorld thing, and we don't have that in any other game that I know of. And here we go. So Milton's going to get a secret red armor. And are they going to boost up? Looks like Milton had the ability to get the first quad, and he actually has a reputation as one of the scariest quad runners of all time on this map.
All right, but he's looking for a bit of an opening run here, just getting a few opportune spawn frags on Thumpa, and mostly keeping control of the central area for the moment as Recall is stacking up completely 200-200 now, also with Rocket Launcher, and finding both of them mid-map. That's going to be a few easy frags as Thumpa spawns there once again, trying to avoid it, trying to maybe take away YA, but it's not going to happen. Yeah, Milton is just going to get handed a few frags. You do have the opportunity to hide here, but you need to spawn and live long enough to even think about doing that.
Yeah, it's always going to be about trying to... I mean, right now when Milton's doing all of this, Rickle's going to have a good sense of where he is, and he's going to have a good sense of, okay, you've got the telly side of the map on lockdown, which is where Milton is, and he's kind of controlling the flow of the players who are trying to get that rocket launcher. And Rickle, meanwhile, is going to be on the other side of the map, the low rocket launcher, locking down that area to stop any rocket launcher access to these guys. And Milton will eventually die, but Rickle can maybe get there in time. He can maybe get the pressure on to get some frags or damage, or they can just sit on their lead a little bit, which is, well, 16 frags, so it's pretty good so far, and they can just do it all over again.
certainly pretty decent for the first minute there, but Thump is going to be looking to finish off a few points of damage, but doesn't really have the weapons to make that happen. So Rico's going to be getting away with another yellow and Mega here. Kind of staying in mid-map, looking for Milton to feed him some spawns. Not quite going to happen just yet, so he's going to take an opportunity to block off some items from the American players. Kind of a nasty ploy there.
Yeah, it's not looking too good for them so far, and I think it's only going to get worse here. The next quad is coming soon. Rickle is definitely a shoe-in, and Thumper's going to lose his rocket pack there. And Milton will pick that one up very happily. Again, like actually, if you die while shooting a weapon before it's reloaded, you'll drop a pack where the rocket is basically dropped in that pack, so picking up gets the rocket launcher.
And a ton of ammo. But we have a big attack happening here on the quad, but Rico set up on it with a decent enough stack and early enough that he could just do counter spam and secure that quad for him. So now both the Americans are going to be fresh spawns, and they need to get away. That was a nice reaction rocket from Serp there. Did some decent damage to Rico. He's now out of armor, so if either Serp or Thumpa can get a rocket launcher off a spawn, Rico could be in a little bit of trouble, but in the meantime, Milton is going to be sure to keep comms up, make sure that Rico knows where everybody's at and what he needs to be concerned about. Nice.
Yeah, and you can see that every time he gets a kill, he throws a rocket somewhere, and that's because he's looking to get an immediate spawn frag. Yeah. Especially if he insta-gips somebody, they're going to be spawning straight away, and he can just instantly kill them if he's correct.
Oh. The first of many, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's going to hit me this week, I'm sure.
We've all done it. We've all done it. We've all done it.
Nice jump out of Rico. That's not an easy one.
The best one is the, I forget what it's called now, but the little, in the big room where Rico is, the other side, there's some lava there. And it looks like the easiest jump ever, but you always get trapped inside the
hardest jumping Quake,
separating platforms. Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Yep. So Rico's going to be on a bit of a Reek roll now as he's looking for a quad run himself. Going to get some of Milton's frags. But yeah, 39-4 is actually pretty extreme here on DM2, which will generally have a lower frag count than other maps. But yeah, quad shotgun midair, nicely done. Ooh. And yeah, these spawn frags are not treating MAGA very nicely here.
No, but I enjoy that. I like that very much. Please, more of that. And it's like Rico's
this is good. This is focus fire. Thumpa is actually able to take him down, but Milton's going to be coming around the corner here. Can Serp and Thumpa survive long enough? Well, the spam is going to be kind of nasty. Milton's going to be able to back out of there, and they're just kind of clawing at his shins, but then Rico comes in from behind to punish them completely for thinking they could take down Milton.
Yeah, and it's on DM2, if you can keep your opponents off of rocket launchers, that's such a big deal. That's where you make all your frags. And we previously saw the lead really created in that way. And right now, MAGA trying to hold on to this quad. Actually, Sub's going to be able to grab it, but he will die immediately, which is fine.
It's a steal, you know?
Yeah, it's not there for Milton or Rico down, which is good.
So hopefully they can turn that into playing a little bit conservatively before the next quad. You know, get up on the red. You know, Thumpa's going to lose out all of his secret red there. Yeah, decent damage on nail guns though, and have a little bit of armor before the next quad fight. That was one of their problems in Blood Run, is that by the time they realized, oh crap, it's quad time, they just didn't have any stack, they didn't have any weapons, so they couldn't even really aggress. We saw Milton and Rico just walk in and walk out with so many quads without any resistance.
Oh, absolutely, and I mean, basically the fights, the one-on-ones that you get on this map with rocket launcher versus rocket launcher, where you both have red armors, those are the really, really important ones, and I might be able to highlight some of them later on to show you exactly why that could be the make or break, and that's where the skill is. One of the main skills on this map, where that truly lies. And right now, as far as the quad goes, it looks like once again Milton and Rico are a shoo-in for it, but they did take a lot of damage actually in the sustained fights over it, so it's going to take a little bit of time to pick that up, but eventually Rico's going to get it, and the terror starts anew.
He's only got yellow armor, however, so if Serp, well, he's looking to throw it down, and oh, nicely done there. So Milton's only going to have yellow armor, but Thumpa's going to die. It's all up to Serp now to put a little bit of a kink in these guys' plans, but I'm not sure it's going to happen as Milton recovers on red armor. And now he's actually expecting a fight out of Serp, so he's playing a little bit more defensively here, opening up the lava floor and just denying access to this area for a little bit longer, allowing Rico to maybe find some resources. He's in a secret red. He's looking for the red spawn. He's got the secret red. He's got Mega. So now they're kind of reset, and they can come back to quad cleanly.
And one thing is like a terminology 101. In this game, if you kill yourself with a rocket launcher, the QuakeWorld community, they described it as a bore. And the reason is because in the console, you get all kinds of fun messages when stuff happens, when you kill people and when you die, you know, when the game came out, and that's how things work. And when you shot yourself with a rocket launcher, it would say XX is bored of life. and so I think it's probably some Scandinavian player would just say, I bored, which obviously doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah.
but it's stuck. Even so that's why it's that way.
Thumpa was trying to hide by crouching there, but this game was invented before knees were.
Yeah. It does feel like we're very low down.
I guess you could change the view height on the fly, but yeah, Milton's going to come back in. He's going to have to wade through the sea of grenades that Thumpa's laying down. And he's actually going to get something out of it, but he's going to be leaving the the quad room up for just a moment to come in from the other side, trying to take down Recall, but that's going to be a nasty quarter to try to hold on to his stack on. So he's desperately trying to grab this. Where is Serp to help out? He's not there with Thumpa. And I'm not sure they can hold this down, but they're starting to get some frags here. This is good, but they've only got 3 minutes to pick up a hefty amount here, actually. But he's on a pretty good run at this point. Hopefully he can get some items. He can turn this into a quad run and start to get some real momentum. There's Recall to try to deny this, but it's not going to happen. They've got it one more time. Here's the shot at quad, and Thumpa is out. He's loose. Don't kill Serp.
Yeah, Serp has got a lot of health and armor. One quad rocket shot, he's dead.
So yeah, maybe Serp should have been the one to grab the quad. He was a bit more in better stack, but I've seen Thumpa on the quad before, and you can tell that's a position that he enjoys.
Yeah, he's looking to try to get some red before he gets his
going in
on.
for secret red, though, while you've got the quad. You know, you don't have a whole lot of time to make up all these frags, and Thumpa is not going to get it, especially if Serp isn't feeding him spawns in mid-map.
Here we go, we get Thumpa trying to break the position there, and there's a one-on-one against Recall. And again, it didn't end up being a 1 versus 1 for very long, but those are the fights that can really count towards getting the position towards quad when it's soon to spawn, and just generally that then would then mean your damage output is going to be a little bit better, or your ability to not take as much damage is better, because you get those angles where you can spam rockets and deny position for someone to come and attack quad. So then you can get the quad more cleanly, and you can start building the frags. So that's why it's like really important to win those one-on-ones if you get them. But here we can see that once again, Ragnarok are winning those, and it's an easy quad pickup for them again.
All right, so yeah, he's going to be fairly conservative here himself. He's just clearing out quad room, making sure that Thumpa and Serp don't really have an opportunity to make an attack like they did before. But as they spawn up, they're actually doing a decent amount of damage to Recall. So coming into the rocket launcher room, Thumpa has an opportunity. Ooh, but the crossfire just is not going to be there. So they're both going to get knocked on down. 72-16 now as we enter our final minutes.
It's fun as well. I don't think that we actually saw it at the start of the night, because I think Milton had the rocket straight away. Right. But there's one funny thing in this game whereby you can't jump directly on your teammate's head, just like you can in Quake 3. But what you can do is if they're a step below or something, then you can jump on the head, and that would actually allow you to jump onto the quad in this situation. You can kind of boost onto the quad, and also you can actually axe jump onto the quad and do some tricks like that. And in 4-on-4, which is 8 players on this map, and already probably seems a bit crowded with just 4. That's something that you do. You have a bind, and if there's a teammate nearby, you're going to press that bind. They're going to read what's going on, read the text, and then they're going to jump on your head, and you can do that in a split second. It sounds like it's easy, but it's actually kind of hard to do.
Jumping on teammates' heads has a long and cherished history in FPS gaming.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's a fun little thing here around the quad, and important fight lost by Milton.
Yeah, and Serp was able to take it, but not for very long as Recall comes in. And yeah, again, it comes down to how many of these 2-on-1 situations kind of go against Serp and Thumpa, where they're having to fend off against themselves, where they're maybe able to take down one of them, but then Milton comes back in to save the day, or the other way around. Yeah,
that was that fight that Thumpa won against Milton there. Again, if there was more time in the match, obviously it's a pretty good scoreline there for Ragnarok winning this one and taking the series away from MAGA. That's a spot where he needs to survive with more armor, basically. Like, it's not enough to just win fights in QuakeWorld. Gotta have some stack left over, because the rockets do so much damage. So expected result. Yeah, we've got to see some DM2, so are you happy?
It was more decent than I thought it would be, actually.
I agree, actually.
And yes, I am happy about seeing DM2. I feel like they did that just for me.
Just for you.
Yeah.
What else do you want? I guess you want to see DM6 now.
Yeah, I've never really been a fan of it. I've actually, like a lot of players, came into QuakeWorld sort of backwards. I started more with Quake 2, Quake 3. And so going into a map like DM6, where there's like spawns that are just dead ends and a lot of like rooms and areas, is like, why is this here? And you don't really like get it at first. You're like, oh, this is built wrong. This map is built poorly. And in Duel, it never really quite clicked for me. 4-on-4 is a lot of noise, and so it didn't really get there either. But 2-on-2, I'm like, oh, I get it. And that spawn behind the red armor, the little corner alcove, it's like, oh yeah, that is actually super important here. So yeah, I've been enjoying watching it a lot more here. Should be seeing a lot of it today. We saw a lot of it online.
Yeah, I know a lot of purists who love it as a one-on-one map, but I never really, I was like you, I'd never really enjoyed it that much. But 2-on-2 was where I would really like it.
Right.
I think it's actually because it's quite a big map, so it actually fits the players better than a lot of the maps.
Well,
that
it
we
has
have
such a strong strong position and weak position. The weak position has a mega, but cool. It's all about that red armor room.
Absolutely. So we might take a quick break also to try to find it.
Yeah, actually, let's take a quick look and see if there's anybody who maybe got into a tiebreaker or anything like that. We're very happy to have QTV here, and I think it's going out publicly as well. So I think those of you who are diehards who want to watch in-game with your own config can do that. So thank you very much to the guys who put that up. And actually, I think it was some of the Australian guys. I think it was Dirtbox who put this together. So thank you very, very much. But yeah, we're going to look for a game that might still be going. I see Locust and BBS versus Bogo and Blood Dog. Want to hop in there?
Yeah, let's try to get in. I think there's 2 minutes left.
All right, cool.
See what's going on over there.
All right, so yeah, we're here on